Hello, everyone. I am Wiseman. I'm back again with another gathering of geeks. And today I am with Emil and Otto. And I have been told by others that you guys are geeks. So why don't you confirm or deny and tell me a little bit about what music you play?
Okay, well, before I start, I'm pretty sure we are both geeks. So we are into retro video gaming and video game music, and we play pixel metal, which is like metal versions of retro video game music. So like that. Yeah, this is our. Well, we're gonna be playing here tonight, so this is our video that's going to be playing behind the song, and it's our NES compilation song. So yeah, all kinds of cool stuff.
So which games do you have included in your background here?
In this song, there's a Journey to Silius, Double Dragon 3, and they are all from the 8-bit Nintendo. And there's this soccer game, the World Cup, then Metal Gear, of course, and Castlevania. What more?
Great.
Oh, yeah. Of course. So
You're wearing the shirt right now.
yeah, confirm.
Incredible. So how old were you guys when you got into video games?
How old was you?
A kid. Very young. I don't know. I played as long as I remember. Like there were always these older guys who had the consoles, and then you just went and watched and then get to play.
Yeah, I think we always had the old systems, so we didn't have Nintendo when it was actually cool. All the other guys were already playing something like Super Nintendo or even like mid 64 or something. And I was digging our 8-bit Nintendo, and we didn't have a lot of games. I always borrowed games from our friends and often just to be able to listen to the music of the games.
Good old classic video game soundtracks where simplicity allows for really memorable melodies.
Yeah, I think we've been actually thinking about that, what makes video game music, and especially the retro, the old stuff, what makes it so special. And I think it is the limitations of the system that forces you to actually make the few elements that you get, you have to make them count. So when all you can do is to create a melody, and it has to carry the whole idea of the song, and it has to be a good melody for it to work. So
if you compare it what nowadays the video game music is you have these big soundscapes, and you can do a lot of stuff, but then a lot of times seems like the melody gets lost somewhere, and it's not so, doesn't sound so good.
Yeah, and also as we play in bands and metal music in general as well, then if I compare it to creating music, composing for a Nintendo game, for example, compared to when you are starting to write a new melodic metal song, because then you can just I know many people think okay, maybe the demo version doesn't impress you so much, but there's going to be all kinds of like big orchestrations or whatever, like something, a good sound. Imagine like heavy drums or whatever, it's going to be an impressive song when it actually should be the way that it works and like impresses you when you just hear the melody.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the thing. I think.
I love that because I've been talking with some of my other guests about how, of course, modern video game music has that bigger sound. You can use all of the instruments and all of the sounds now, so it's got that big soundscape. But again, how many of those big, beautiful songs will you actually just remember the basic like melody to? And I'm trying to think, for example, like the Dragon Age Inquisition had a really great bombastic symphonic whatever theme song, but I couldn't hum it for you right now. So
Yeah,
I don't remember how it goes. I love it when I hear it, but it doesn't stay in my mind.
yeah, exactly. So
Maybe the Skyrim theme sticks in the mind. I
Yeah.
wonder, could you convert the Skyrim theme into a good bit song, do you think?
I think so. And actually, today we are also playing one. It's kind of like an evolution of video games kind of song.
Oh, wow.
So it's like starts from Deep Dog game from '82, and like really, really simplistic games. And then we also play like Crash Bandicoot and Doom and Morrowind is also there,
Oh.
and some Overwatch, which is it was like 2016. But it's fun that we hadn't played Overwatch before, like really new game and really cool and all that. But the theme is super cool. It just again, it's really different that the way that the actual theme is kind of hidden in the middle of a longer song, kind of, and that's how you do film music and all that kind of thing. But then it's a little different still than when Super Mario Brothers starts, right? Like no intros, just like it's like just the theme, nothing else. Like so it's so different, but still cool.
I have noticed the Overwatch music is kind of cool. I heard my husband's a big fan of Overwatch, so I hear the music all the time. He watches all of the the esports and everything. So he's really into the tactics and the shifting maps and stuff like that. Shifting's the wrong word, but and so I know this song, like the kind of victory theme from Overwatch. But
That's the one.
yeah, the Game Music Collective, I think, did a version of it. And I was listening to it. I was like, I don't know this. And then as the song progresses, I'm like, oh, wait, yes, I know this. And then at the end, do I know this still? So I kind of see what you mean, how the main theme is a little bit in the center, built around, with all this other stuff built around it.
Yeah.
But it is a good theme. As soon as you hear it, you kind of feel like, oh, yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
Getting amped up to some tactical sports or something.
Yeah. And of course, when you think about the like what game music is made for, like you actually play the game, or if it's in the menus or whatever situation, but still it's composed for the like situation in the game and not necessarily just to be able to listen in a car or something. So maybe there are reasons for things to build up and all that. But still, personally, I really dig the stuff that when it's like, I just want to take the Overwatch theme and just loop the best sections for hours, just listening.
I can see that. It's good.
And that's kind of one idea that we have for our music as well. Like instead of just playing short clips of the themes that we much rather like give them more focus and like make the sections longer so you can actually like mosh it, like truly.
I love that. So you said you've done some medleys and things like that. How do you pick, which order? Of course, if you're doing the history, it's easy to start with the oldest and go more. But
Yeah.
how do you just pick which ones sound good together and which will flow nicely?
I don't know, kind of have to listen to our instinct, I guess. But the idea is to get some kind of drama card. Really hard to, I don't know.
Oh,
Dramatic art.
yeah.
Yeah, I think that's it. So, but the idea is to like get like nice contrasty parts between sections that are completely different and not just like do weird stuff, but so that it actually makes sense. And so if you would describe the kind of the atmosphere and the feeling of how the song progresses, then that should make sense, kind of like.
Well, you guys are not just like retro gaming nerds. You're also kind of like audio nerds a little bit as well. I understand. I mean, you managed to set this up and I watched and I was impressed because I would have been scared of this whole background. All of the things that happened to it before it started working. So what kind of brought you into the whole like music and sound and tech of the whole thing?
Well, that's a big question. Do you want to take your take on that?
Please go ahead.
Okay. Well, I think if I think about how I like look into things, I think I am just a nerd in that way that it doesn't matter pretty much what I do. Then I try to get excited about it and find the angle that makes it interesting for me, and then usually just then I just get so like psyched about it that it's always goes overboard no matter what it is. So then if it's like audio production or like video production or whatever production, it always like it's just exciting what you can do. So then it's really cool to be able to like study things and learn and find some new things. And so that's why it's really easy to kind of get so focused into something and get so nerdy about something.
Yeah, it kind of happens automatically.
Yeah.
When you're interested in that stuff, then you just have to find out how this works. And what could we do and then do things like this.
You guys remember any like really iconic moments when you were young of playing video games where just like your whole world was shattered? I know for me it was watching my brother play. It was Final Fantasy VI, but I guess then it was Final Fantasy III on the SNES. We never had a SNES, so we always had to play at our cousins' places. And I remember Final Fantasy III and the scene where this one character like turns into like a demigod and just flies off, and I was this little fantasy-loving kid just like, wow, cool. What? Did you have any like big moments like that when you're just absolutely mind fucked by what you saw in a game? Or
I think there are plenty of if I think about like, for example, we played Legend of Zelda, my cousin one summer, and basically played the whole summer the same game. And like you try to just, we didn't have any magazines or obviously no internet. We were like, I don't know, 8 or 10 years old or something. So if you don't sell the games, you just go around burning bushes and like you need to bomb every single pixel of the whole massive map because you had no idea where the hell to go next. So then it took the whole summer to actually find where you need to go and all that. So when you actually found like a secret place or something, then those moments was like unbeatable. It's like crazy.
But all of that like pixel clicking of
Yeah.
flash this, burn this, throw this, and
Yeah.
crawling. Oh
When
my
you
God.
when you hear the sound, like, oh my god! Like,
Have you ever played a modern game and then gone around like hitting every corner of it only to realize there's nothing hidden in the game?
Yeah.
Wasted all of this time.
yeah.
I think I did that with like To the Moon. It was like a more modern bit game, and we started playing like clicking every bush and corner, and then we're like, wait a minute, it's going nowhere. We've never found anything. But you never really want to stop looking. You still might find that one little nugget,
Yeah.
unless it's just not there.
I remember playing Morrowind. I think I played it for like 2 years or something, or a year and a half. Or anyway, like it was like you're wandering on the like rocky mountains. There is basically nothing, and you're just looking for if you can somehow like climb up somewhere where you're not supposed to, and then you think maybe I found something awesome there. It's like waste so much time not finding it. Eventually getting trapped, and then you just need to load up, start all over again.
I've done that in Skyrim for sure. I'm trying to take a shortcut over a mountain. It doesn't work that way. I think I've done that in The Witcher too, that I'm just trying to take a shortcut. Look, the shortest distance from A to B is a straight line, but it requires crossing like all of a mountain range to do that. Eventually, you start to realize that the effort you put into scaling this mountain, like the same amount of time if you had just walked around would have been spent. It's not worth the struggle. Don't do it.
I remember in Gothic 3, I accidentally ended up in a like this weird kind of, I think it's some kind of place where you're supposed to go in the end, like it was so high tech, like like a entrance of a like the last cave or something, and I accidentally came from the other way or other side, like from a climbing over a mountain, and then like, okay, now I'm stuck here. There's like this guru with a staff, and I can't complete the mission because I didn't even have it. And then I was just stuck there. Like it's really weird, but cool.
Shortcuts can screw you over so much.
Yeah.
I remember a game, I think it's a GameCube game called Bait and Kaidos or something along those lines. It's a really cool game. It had one of the most unique card-based systems that I've ever seen. So it wanted to make logic out of the card system, but like you can capture something's essence in the card. So like you can capture the essence of your weapon or things like that. So it made sense that instead of people hauling 10,000 axes around, they just whip a card out and then an axe appears. So that was kind of the magic of the game. But I remember this one point where you kind of jump up onto some sort of airship, and I don't think there was anywhere you could kind of level up on the airship. You also can't leave once you're on it. And there's a really hard boss at the end. And I just remember thinking like, God, do I have to start this whole game over because I'm trapped on this ship that's just slightly too hard? I think I managed to just eventually power through and beat the boss, but I remember there being a serious problem that, oh no, did I mess this whole thing up?
Those are the moments. Like 2 years ago, I had 1 week vacation. I spent it like playing only Ninja Gaiden 3. First day, I played through the game for the first time, and then I got thinking that, damn, there's this crazy time limit in the last stage. Like it's like super hard game. And then I was wondering if it's possible to play through the last stage, because it felt like it's not possible to do it. Like it was so crazy. Like I was maybe half of the stage and died because of the time limit run out. So then I spent the next 4 days of my vacation playing the last stage, just the last stage. Eventually, when I got it through in the time limit, it was like unbeatable. I was so freaking stressed out. But
I remember you sent me the videos.
yeah,
First trying and then swearing a lot.
yeah.
There was one game that I was playing a couple of years ago. It's kind of been quite a while ago now, but it was Spelunky. And I had so much just furious rage in that game that I posted a comment on Facebook, and one of my friends thought, like, just based on the strength of my reaction, that I was getting like deported from Finland or something. And he called me in a big panic, like, "Oh my God, is everything okay?" I was like, "Oh, just fucking Spelunky." And he was like, "What?" I was so worried. I know you're just playing video games. But sometimes video games are a good way to get your frustrations out, or sometimes they're a good way to cause intense frustration.
Yeah. Yeah, I think people have broken a lot of controllers playing like 8 games for sure.
We just did a replay of Castlevania 2, and
So
I don't know how anyone ever played that game back in the day, between the extremely slow and texty controls and the sheer nonsense of that game. It's so baffling. We needed our one friend we were playing in a group, and we needed our one friend. He's the kind of guy who can just play any game, no matter how hard it is, and do a good job. So eventually there's just 3 of us here. "Oh, please finish this for us. We can't take it any longer." Just walking forward, throwing holy water on the ground because it might fall out in front of you. Just 3 exhausted, sad people just absolutely spent, and one guy just plugging away still, trying to get through.
yeah, that's kind of frustrating way they created like more lifespan for games. Like creating traps, you need to like learn with trial and error.
Yeah.
Not, yeah, that's how you did it back then, or one way.
Have you guys tried any of the more modern pixel games? The Messenger was the one that stood out to me.
Yeah. Oh my God, it's just a freaking amazing game. I learned it by finding the music, obviously, but then really? Yeah, they're both massive fans.
Yeah.
Did you play it also?
I have played it,
Yeah,
not the full game.
yeah,
And listen to the soundtrack a lot.
yeah.
That was one of those soundtracks where I really like Rainbow Dragonauts, but his music is always somehow like feels cranked up to 11 to me. So if I'm not in the right mood, it's really overwhelming. But somehow playing that game, it felt right all the time, even though there's kind of a lot going on.
Yeah.
It felt really good. And to this day, I can't always listen to that soundtrack. I almost, if I want to listen to the music, I need to like go play the game again, because it's sometimes just a bit too much. But I do.
Yeah, it's really intense.
I do like that though. It's fun.
Yeah,
But,
yeah.
sorry,
When you need that, then there's not much that can be delivered the same thing. But Messenger does.
Yeah, the switch between the older, like the 8-bit and 16-bit, or whichever one they used, was also a really cool mechanic. I thought that was so much fun to go in there, and then even the music changes again when you switch. Highly recommended game. Very good.
Yeah. Sure.
Anyone hasn't played it, do. It's a good one.
Yeah, no, obviously in Cybershadow was too. It was the first, our first music video too. And at this point, it's the only one that's been released in this one. So the game was released this year, like in January, right?
Yeah.
And it's just like it's so amazing. No, like ninja game. Really retro, really Ninja Gaiden and Shadow of the Ninja type of like it has like ticks all the boxes and gets everything right. And the environment like that we have created the 3D environment. It's in tribute for that game to a scene from that. So yeah.
Right. So do you guys make all of your own videos and stuff yourselves?
Yeah, it's a big topic too, as we have like massive plans for the videos. Like we started with the Cybershadow video, where we created the like 3D environment of the game, and we wanted to kind of play in the game. So that's the idea, and that's how we want to be doing videos. But we want to take it to the next level because it was kind of our first try, the Cybershadow, and we only used like tripod shots, like fixed angles, like the camera is still, and so you don't kind of get that 3D feel that much. So we want to be able to do that with moving cameras, that like in big movies where you actually have all the CG environments and like everything is like, well, awesome. So we are starting to build our own virtual production studio. Soon. So we have got the place in like 150 square meters. So it's like it's going to be like this massive green screen studio, and yeah, well, it's going to change everything. It's going to be our job and everything. So we're going to be creating a lot of 3D environments and doing film production and taking part in all kinds of productions and renting out the place. And I'm pretty sure we're going to be working with a lot of cool bands and guys and productions and everything. So
Amazing. That sounds pretty cool.
yeah.
So what are some of the like most iconic games that like if there were some games that you feel set you on your path towards kind of artist you are, what would be some of those games?
Yeah. You want to
I can credit Legend of Zelda, Final Fantasy were big for me. Watching my brothers play Mario, obviously.
yeah. I think there's starting to be so many. Of course, it's the ones that you remember from your childhood. Of course, they are in a way special, of course. But then I'm also really kind of happy to notice how I get really stoked when I find new games that I haven't like old games that I just haven't like played ever or haven't realized the music is really cool. So then I just get just as stoked about it than the old games that are already familiar to me from like nostalgic,
Yeah.
So kind of it. I don't need the kind of childhood memory to get as attached to a song. So it's really cool when someone sends on Instagram, hey, check, have you played this game? Check the song. It's really cool. And then pick it, and then it's awesome. Then oh my God, I want to record the song right away. But to choose some games, mostly like Mega Man 3 is like one. It's really special because my friend had it and I borrowed it maybe every month or something. So that and Silius, of course, and Legend of Zelda and Metal Gear is definitely one. And there's Punch. How about you?
Shadow of the Ninja is, I think that's your or
Yeah,
beginning. So that's definitely one. Yeah.
So what about other geek stuff? Are you guys all aboard the games train, or do you like read any fantasy or sci-fi movies side of things?
Yeah, of course we are like movies and all kinds. So I like cartoons. Like if we think about like Turtles and He-Man and all these kind of all things from the 80s and 90s. And it's super cool stuff.
The classic Saturday morning cartoons there.
Yeah, exactly. That's the theme. Saturday mornings.
So a truly interesting decline in the quality of Saturday morning cartoons in recent years. Tried to watch some modern kids shows and I'm like, these are weird and I don't get it. I like the Cartoon Network, Adventure Time is a lot of fun. If you like your cartoons trippy. Trippy and fantastical.
Yeah, that's cool too. Yeah. I think the cartoons were different back then. Maybe it's just an old fart or something. No, there's something geeky about the old ones. Just rocks.
Back when nerd stuff was made by nerds.
Yeah.
I think someone once said that Duke Nukem was a funny character because if you look at him kind of objectively, he's actually like those games were really made by nerds and they had all these really nerdy references. So if you take it out of context, Duke Nukem is actually this really insecure nerd. Can't handle anything. I thought the idea was just ridiculously funny. Of all those little things, like all the like old movie references and stuff that were snuck into those games. And if you take it in the right way, it's just Duke Nukem is a super movie nerd. He's not cool at all.
Yeah, even though when he's trying to like be the tough guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a funny contrast. Definitely. It's a cool game though. Really.
I've never played a Duke Nukem game, unfortunately.
Oh.
I think the oldest game I played was maybe like Commander Keen or something like that on the old DOS system.
Yeah, we have that.
I think we also there's a game called Nick Baldo's Championship Golf. I don't know why we had this game or whose idea it was to buy it, but it was again one of the first games I ever played on a computer. It wasn't very hard. You just had to click at the right time and then the ball would go really far right where you wanted it to. And then King's Quest VI was the next one, and I've been obsessed with point and click ever since, and I've never seen one as well done as King's Quest VI. Even the modern King's Quest games, they're not as good as the old ones, which is a shame because I love just that concept. It's kind of like, the going around and clicking all of the boxes, only here you actually get to pick stuff up and maybe use it again somewhere, but you just have to figure out where, when, how, and why. And that to me was just, again, like mind-bogglingly cool. It was more open world than most open world games these days feel to me, just because there's some aspect of mystery to everything I could pick up.
Yeah, I think I can relate to that. I think this same, and then you go around like trying all kinds of things that make no sense.
Yes.
I have this thing, and you just try it on everything, even when it makes no sense.
Yeah. And there's always like the sense for it. So like you have your inventory, and then you can say like you can touch it, you can look at it, you can talk to it. And every once in a while you'd have something in your inventory that would talk to you, and it was always very weird. Because you could get like a rotten tomato, which would just insult you if you tried to talk to it. And then you could get a dangling participle, which linguistically that's linguistics, but he was like a little creature. He hung out with the bookworm, but he was lost, and he would just say something weird like "Take me home to." Excuse me? I don't know where your home is. Please help me.
Yeah, I remember for example, playing Metal Gear. Not quite right now here, but playing Metal Gear as a kid when you can't even read or don't know any English. So then we just went around and tried cigarettes on everything. Like, what is this? Like, well, it's cigarettes. What do I need to do? I don't know. And then you just keep trying it. And I had no idea it was just like a joke. I think maybe it works or something. Now might need to try again. Actually, but.
I love those old computer games, but I'm having a harder and harder time getting them to actually work on my new computers. So I do have a functional version of King's Quest 6, but every once in a while someone will be talking and then it'll just go like, and then I'll completely miss it, and it might be something that was completely relevant to the story, and now I don't know what to do because this person will tell me the same thing a second time.
Yeah.
So fortunately, I played it enough in my youth that it's not a big deal. But I'm always like wanting my friends to play it because I want to see like if they can figure out the puzzles and stuff that I know all the answers to. But I have to be able to say like, okay, he said this, and this, because you just heard him saying, "Yes, I can tell you all about the princess. She's trapped in a tower."
Remember, you need to.
Okay, so I need to go and then fun game. Need some updated emulator or something like that to get out to work again. So, what are some of the better, let's say, games or soundtracks that you've come across in recent years? Messenger aside, obviously.
Yeah, well, yeah, there's plenty. For example, F0 from SNES on that, like just a few months back, and then I've been listening through so many game soundtracks and found like tons of things. But let's say if I think about when I get drunk and what I always listen to, for example, there are some like Mega Man 7 and Junkman theme. That's like hadn't heard that like it's maybe a year or something ago that I found, and I can't stop listening to it. And like I literally listen to the 30-minute extended versions like a few times in a row. Like I don't know. People think I'm crazy listening to the same theme. That's actually a like 40-second loop, and then you listen to it like 90 minutes. But yeah, but it's really cool.
It's a nice thing about a lot of video game music is that it will just loop really smoothly. There was a Banjo-Kazooie on Nintendo 64, I think, that I just love that soundtrack. For the Gobi's Valley, the desert area. It was just so peppy and bouncy and silly I just wanted to go, I don't know, fuck around in that level. And even though I had everything I could collect, just go play in that level for like an hour, just dancing around to the music and I don't know, doing weird stuff, but just to play and be in the music. I've done that also with Castlevania too, back at the day. I don't know, is Castlevania still making games these days? But
I think so.
soundtracks have always been some of the best, I think.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
the first Castlevania game I ever played was Lament of Innocence, I think, on PS2. And I remember I was seeing a guy back then. He's like, "You have to come play this. I just want to run around and hear this music." And so he played it, and this first level has a song called like House of Sacred Remains or something, and it's got this beautiful flowy part. It's really dynamic and it's really wonderful. And then you go into like the second level and it's like a techno meat dungeon. And you're like, I was not expecting it.
Sounds cool.
It's really weird. Fun game. I'm sorry they didn't. Did I ever switch that over to the PlayStation Store? They might have done it with Lament of Innocence, but I don't think they ever did it with Tricks of Darkness, and I'm still very sad about that to this day because I really want to replay that game.
Yeah, I think they had a lot of these kind of games eventually in the store. So that's pretty cool. And I found a lot of cool games from the Xbox store too.
Yeah.
Whatever it's called. Yeah.
Symphony of the Night definitely has one of the best sold soundtracks I can remember.
Yeah, and one of the most iconic things ever as well. Like, you can see.
Have you ever done the I think you could just find this online now, but back in the day, if you put the PlayStation disc in a CD player, it would play something like, "This is the PlayStation Black disc. It holds the data for your video game. It will not play in the CD player. But you're probably not going to listen to me, are you?" And then it starts playing the soundtrack. And it's amazing.
Oh,
Unfortunately, of course, I only have digital versions now, so you can't play this game anymore. But it was a little fun Easter egg that if you tried to put it in the CD player, it would just play this weird message and then
okay.
start
Didn't
playing the
know
sound.
that. Very cool.
I think if you look up the soundtrack online, you'll actually the one song will have that message still attached to it.
Pretty fun.
I didn't actually know that they could even like double up on the data like that back in the day. I don't really
Pretty
know.
advanced.
I'm absolutely one of those people who thinks all technology is basically magic. So I don't know
Yeah,
how
me
they did
too.
it, but it's really cool that they did.
Yeah. I think we think about it the same way. Like, how can something happen when you press something? It doesn't make any sense.
Everything like cameras, like CDs, vinyls, everything like that to me is just absolutely magic. And that is why I still believe that magic is real, because that's just everything I don't understand. Helps keep my nerdiness alive.
Yeah, you have to cherish it.
Yeah. I actively seek magic everywhere I possibly can. Anything seems magical or nerdy or fantasy like, it makes me happy.
Well, I do remember, as you asked, the moments, like spectacular moments in the video game. I remember, as we talked about Castlevania, I remember seeing Castlevania, the first one on the NES. For the first time, I was like 6 years old, and my neighbor showed it to me. And when he started to it was like my mind was completely blown away. I was like, this is so scary. Like all these bats and like this Dracula castle and everything. It's like so cool. Like I'm I'm still as impressed every time I start it. It's just like best beginning ever.
I love about Symphony of the Night that whole thing where if you just play through the game, you'll be like, wait, is that it? And that was lame. It looked like short and nothing really happened. But then, of course, if you do everything the secret super right way, then you get a whole second game to play that actually has the ending.
Yeah.
But they don't really tell you anything about that. Whereas back in the day, you had to just figure these things out on your own.
Yeah, and many people didn't even know about it. Like,
Can you imagine a lot of people might have got that game and were like, well, I guess that was okay. And then other people would say, oh, it's so great. Everyone would just get confused.
Yeah, and they are talking about completely different experiences.
Yeah. There's like a whole second game on the... What?
Yeah. We did play Symphony of the Night when we had a 5-day vacation that we went to Spain.
Yeah, and the Canary Islands.
Yeah.
You went to the Canary Islands to play Castlevania?
Yeah, we went there and we actually stayed the whole freaking 5 days in the hotel room. And there was actually days that we didn't like even leave the room, except get to go downstairs, buy some food from the store. Like that was in the same building. But so we never needed to leave the building to like see the sun or anything. We just stayed inside, pretty drunk, and just played all kinds of games on the laptop and emulator.
Proper vacation.
Yeah, it's so cool. And we played a lot of Symphony of the Night. That's really cool.
Well, that was actually a question that I was going to ask is, do you guys often play games together or is it mostly solo stuff?
Well, we do sometimes play like this.
Yeah.
When we have a day off or so. Last time we played
Lolo 3.
Lolo 3, yeah.
Yeah, we need to continue.
Yeah.
Because we play on this NES Mini, this you can save the game, so then you can continue later from that save. Of course, it's like that game has the code, so you can basically do it anyway. But yeah, that's one way you can kind of pick up where you left it last time, so that's cool. But yeah, Otto lives in US, so we don't kind of get together that like not every week, but and often when we do like this time, there's been so much stuff to do. We haven't even had time to like anything. Not even sleep. 4.5 hours last month, for example.
Just save it all up and go to the bathroom once a day. And
yeah, basically. But yeah, it's really cool to be able to do that. Lolo 3 is really great.
I don't play that. I don't know anything about it.
You should try.
It's difficult.
Yeah.
It's difficult.
I've been playing Dead Cells lately, which is I don't know if I can even call it my Everest right now because I've never thought that I'm going to be able to finish this game. It's too hard. Like, it's a roguelike, but you can up the difficulty, I think, 5 times or something. And it's already like the first 2 levels, like it's just like normal and then hard and then harder and harder and harder. And it's a brilliant game. And what's great about it is the makers keep updating it. So they take a lot of feedback from, players and then will fix it. So they've actually changed the whole game mechanics a few times. And I had just been in a big break from it. One of those I'm just doing this and it's wasting my life. Roguelike games are a bit of a problem for me sometimes, that I get trapped in playing them for way too long. I can't just turn on a roguelike. I'll turn it on and then play like 3 albums and a D&D podcast while I'm playing or something. So it's a really great game, but they've just uprooted it again. So I'm now struggling because it's both harder and easier in a lot of ways. So I'm trying to grapple with, is this game now, can I progress here, or is this still way too hard for me? Because it got to the point where you're at like 3 out of 5 difficulty and you already can't take a hit basically more than once before you're instantly just dead.
Sure.
So like, how does this get harder on level 4 and 5? I mean, you have to extra double not get hit somehow. And so
there are more things sitting here.
yes, just huger groups. And I don't know. I probably need to look it up on YouTube someday. I'm sure I'll never finish that game, but it's a lot of fun, and I do recommend it. Great pixel style, but they have like the full palette of pixels. They don't have the limited 8-bit or anything like that. So it's pixel, but it's very fancy pixel.
Fancy pixels.
Yeah. They're very nice artwork. Do recommend.
I think we'll try it out.
But not if you don't like roguelike games. It's a real-time thing. Fun though too, because it has a huge number of just different weapons and play styles you can get different mutations that'll give you different buffs, but you only get 3, so you have to be choosy.
Yeah, and so that brings this strategy on the table. So
Yeah. There's like
that's really cool.
1,000 different weapons you can use, and I almost exclusively use the electric whip, and I don't unlock any of the rest of them because I just like zapping people with a whip. Run around singing like vampire killer. It's good. It's good for crowd control. It crits in water. It's just the best weapon. I can't help it. But it's bad because then it also means that I don't want to ever try anything new. So I have to juggle like several saves. So if I want to open a new item and test it out, I have to use my original game. It's complicated.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I also always used to just create a barbarian, like RPG games. Always the same strategy. But then when I actually started creating like archers or other, it was pretty cool to try something different. But it's really hard to not choose the same thing every time.
I get you there. My play style is referred to as the play button, because when I think this actually comes from me playing Spelunky all those years ago. I never take my finger off the run button in that game unless I'm trying to do something with a little finesse and I don't want to accidentally jump into a spike pit. So this is now referred to as the play button style because I think my husband asked me, like, do you ever take your finger off the button and the dash button? And I think I just responded, oh, you mean the play button? the button that makes the game work? No, I always press that button. And he's like, well, this is where you die all the time. I'm like, he's too slow. He needs to run.
No patience.
No patience. Oh no. That's why he's better at most games than me, or he gets further through them, because he has the patience and I just want to just zap that smash and absolutely balls out the forward. Take hits, give hits, hit hard. I think Diablo 3 is maybe the only game where I've really experimented outside of that, because it was always just take the biggest dual-wielding, beefiest guy you can get, and then just go, like, you don't need to dodge or anything, just go into the middle of everything and dash in all directions, and it's all so fun other ones. Had to try them out too, eventually. But.
I love that game. It was completely different when it came out. then they changed like constantly, and these days it's super different from what it was when it was first released. And at least the console version is completely different now. It was like almost impossible for some characters in the beginning. Like I have that demon hunter, the archer. So
the glass cannon.
Yeah, exactly. Like it was almost impossible to clear the last difficulty on the third level or something. Because everything kills you on one hit, no matter how much you stack anything. Or it was like super difficult. You'd need to do the South Park World of Warcraft thing and like kill like the bones of the first village or something to get the experience points.
I remember someone who had a friend of mine who had his character so buffed up that he had to basically kill the enemies before they were on the screen.
Yeah.
So he would just like walk into an area and then just send like a massive scatter out. And then he'd kind of like inch forward. And then as soon as anything appeared, he'd have to shoot again this big scatter. And if anything actually like breached you can see it on screen, he was in trouble.
Yeah. I remember that it was a true like problem at the time that you literally die constantly for projectiles coming from off screen.
Yeah.
Freaking nothing. Not anything. It can't do anything. Wow.
You need to play with someone else who had the character who could take them in.
Well, they did change that eventually. So it was. Anyway, super cool game.
One of the few games I think I have actually managed to 100% on PlayStation.
Yeah.
I played it way too much. For sure, one of those games where I'm like absolutely addicted to it, but not sure why. You know, like with Skyrim, it was always, I just want to be in this world. There's something, I think, it was a Penny Arcade comic that pointed this out to me, that there's just something wonderful about like going out for a walk, eat everything you find, and then just watches your character trip balls for like 10 seconds or whatever, as you've just eaten like 20 butterflies, a bunch of random plants, and a small animal you found on the road. What did these do?
Yeah.
Go into the alchemy lab and just start eating all of the weird stuff in your backpack, and then just watches your character like almost dies for a second as he goes into anaphylactic shock and has 3 different psychedelic experiences, gets poisoned. So that was always fun about Skyrim. And then I went back to Diablo, where the world is pretty simple. The story, of course, is barely there. And yet still, it was just something fun mechanically about running around and trying all these different things and trying all these different player styles. Maybe the Witch Doctor was one of the last ones I tried. Like having just an army of weird things around me. It's usually the Barbarian. It was different play style for me, so I liked it. It was fun. It's a good game to try out different play styles, maybe.
Yeah, I think they eventually got it pretty balanced. Or you can pick any characters and make it cool. Pretty cool.
You know, never played the Diablo 2.
Yeah.
I've always been curious, like, what is it about Diablo 2 that everyone likes? Because I have, like, emotional trauma from that game. I had a terrible old boyfriend who used to, like, start fights with me and then, like, lock his door and go play Diablo 2. So I have kind of really bad associations with that game, and I've never played it. So I've always been kind of curious. So, like, still seems to hold a higher standard to Diablo 3, for example. People think of Diablo 2 as, like, the ultimate one.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so too.
Why is that?
I think it's somehow so like unpredictable. Like you can, or I don't know if you've played it for 10 years, maybe you already know everything about it. But for me, I played it for the first time when I was like 20 or something. Like it was old news back then. but I think there's something like how it gets when you go to a new like dungeon or something. It can get like super difficult suddenly, and like you can, if you think like, oh, okay, I've never lost more than 30% of my health, so I'll be fine when I go in that dungeon, and you might just get your ass and it's your right away. Or it's really, and also there's like a lot of at stake, is when you die, you can like lose your gear, that kind of stuff. So then you kind of have to be a little careful not to, because the game won't hold your hand. Like it's not, you can screw up very badly. And the thing about those who play the hardcore mode, you know, the mode where you actually lose the character. Yeah. So that's freaking sick. So, but that's very ruthless. And of course, it's the gear, or the possibility of getting something that makes you like changes everything. I think that's one part of it.
I think like all of Diablo 3 had some like seasons or something that were kind of fun, but I don't remember much of them. Like, you had extra cool stuff you could get, maybe more chances to go into the treasure goblin zone or something like that.
Yeah.
There's also like weird fun stuff in those games too, isn't there? Like a super happy fun times lands that you can occasionally find randomly or something.
Yeah.
Full of like flowers and unicorns that try to murder you. Okay.
Yeah, and that cow level was the
The cow level, that's what it was.
pretty sick. Like,
So strange.
Yeah.
I love that though. I love when people just sneak random stuff into their games.
Yeah.
There's a lot of like weird stuff back in the day in those retro games too, though, where they had puzzles that just had no logic to them. There's the Castlevania one where you had to go like kneel in front of a cliff
Yeah.
for like a minute, and the only
it was
hint,
like something like 8 seconds or something.
And the only hint was that someone in town would mention something about someone named Deborah Cliff. And that was the only thing, like mentioning a cliff in that whole place. Like, how did anyone back in the day before the internet figure this stuff out?
Yeah, I don't know. It's completely impossible. Like you need to select one object that does nothing. You need to select it and use it. Like have it selected and then kneel down and hold it down. Like why would you do that? Like what? Like it's completely random.
That's how also like modern King's Quest games feel to me. Like the one that I'm so obsessed with, the old one, like everything felt fairly logical to a degree. You know, you had a Tin Nightingale. So if you wanted the Princess Nightingale to come talk to you, you put the Tin Nightingale on the ground and the bird would fly close. You know, it's pretty like there's two nightingales in the whole game, the tin one and the real one. So obviously they kind of go together somehow. It makes more or less sense. But then the new King's Quest game I was playing, it was like, a squirrel falls into a pot, chucks some paint and like something else on it. And like, where would like I ever think to do that? Like, why would, unless I'm just walking around this game putting things on things just to try everything. And that's too much. There's too many options. Then I don't like it. It's too like it's like going to an escape room when there's too many fake things in there and you just need help, like hints all the time. I don't want to have to like look it up. I want to be able to logically figure it out somehow. If I feel like I need the internet to figure out a puzzle, then it's not a good puzzle. I just don't know why I would paint a squirrel purple for any reason in any game, unless it was a mini game called squirrel painting.
Yeah, maybe that makes sense. And one was
Actually,
here is right now the Metal Gear is. I love this game, and still love this game. And people complain about it that it has some puzzles that makes no sense too. And for example, there's this scene in the forest where when you go like left, it just comes from the other side and it doesn't progress anywhere. So you can just loop, and you would need to go in a random specific direction, like first left and then up or something like this.
one of those old like Zelda
Yeah, kind of.
forests.
Yeah, it's the same thing like in a forest where you get lost if you don't know where you need to go. And people complain that it makes no sense, and it's like, why would you guess that where you need to go, that you need a magazine or something? And I just made this like a few days ago, and I have no idea what order or direction was. So I was just like kind of trying out. Okay, well, let's see if it's so difficult. And then I just randomly went somewhere, and suddenly it just went right. So, it's not that bad, I think. So I think busted, Metal Gear's rock solid.
Okay. Was it a Metal Gear game that I remember there being something about you wanted to sneak into a facility, but there was a guard. And so at some point in the game, you get an egg, and then you can hatch the egg into an owl. And then if you bring the owl to the guard, then it will hoot, and he'll be like, an owl? It must be nighttime. Time for bed. And then he leaves his post, and then you can go inside. And everyone was just like, who smoked what before they thought that, okay, it's fully daylight, but because I can hear an owl, it must be night. So I guess it's bedtime.
Let's not take a look at the watch. Let me make sure.
Yeah, no. Owls, it's night now for sure.
Yeah.
There's been some real interesting ones that
I think I've heard that. Can't remember. Maybe that was in the Metal Gear Solid game.
It might have been like one of the first and second ones. I'm not sure, but it was something where you would like get this egg in your inventory and you didn't really know what to do with it. And I don't know. I haven't actually played Metal Gear myself.
That's pretty clever. I love Zelda games for the puzzles. Like, so great. That's one of the best moments of gaming ever, like getting those Zelda puzzles right. Especially when you spend like a week going around and not knowing what to do, and when you actually realize, it's amazing.
Did you ever play Majora's Mask?
No, I never did play that. I played Ocarina of Time, although I have never actually like played through the whole game. So that's definitely on my bucket list. Sure.
Majora's Mask was a fun one because it was so different, and of course at that time I had only ever played Ocarina of Time before. So it was very much the same, but then all of these masks you could get, they were so interesting. Like, of course, there's this 3-day time limit that everyone loves or hates. It has its own problems, but it also like put some pressure on you to keep you kind of focused on what you were doing. So if you had a goal for this 3-day time stretch, you had to achieve that goal. And there were some goals that like you had to be in like the right place at the right time from day one to like all throughout the 3-day period up until about like 5 minutes before the end of the world is the last thing you have to do. And then you just have like a few seconds to play your song and go back in time. But it was always just like really interesting thing, but it wasn't like go to a dungeon and do this stuff and then you get this mask. It would be like there was a weird guy out doing a weird dance on a mushroom at night. and he only came out after a certain time at night. And then he would talk like a crazy artist, and then he would translate himself. And then if you got this song, you could like go do this dance to some struggling artists in town who would get super hyped about just weird guys' dance moves. I don't know, just like weird stuff. It was like a trippy dream of a Zelda game. It was like Ocarina of Time, but like in your dreams where everything's kind of off and strange, but it felt just so awesome to me. And it was very horrifying because there's many times where he puts on a mask and becomes a different person, and it seems like it's extremely painful and horrifying every time because he like, oh, and there's this like crazy stuff going on, and he's like screaming. Like, am I torturing him by doing this? My God, this is intense. I was quite young. It was weird and scary, wonderful game. And I'm always baffled by how much people hate it, but it seems like you either really loved it or you really didn't get it. I love it.
So. But those are the best.
Also, just everything about the masks just so creepy, and then the moon has this giant smile. It's super creepy. For sure, the creepiest Zelda game.
Yeah, I think that much right. So it seems.
Have you played the Breath of the Wild?
No, would be really cool to get tried out.
I have
It
not
seems really cool.
either, but I've heard the puzzles in that one are very interesting because they're kind of 3D. You have to kind of like crawl your character like right up into the puzzle to do it.
Yeah. Yeah, the idea is super cool.
I like the idea of the Master Sword breaking all the time, though. That's weird. I haven't played it, so I don't know. I can't say for sure. I'm actually still back in Twilight Princess.
Oh, that's a great one.
I played it through about halfway and then gives back to Finland. I haven't picked it up since. That was 10 years ago. So oops. I'm a little behind in my Zelda right now.
I think I have a lot of Zelda games like that I've played to maybe halfway through, and then they take so much time. It's easy that life comes on your way, and then it's just. And right now, I have Ocarina of Time. I started again. Maybe it's 2 years. I can't remember. Time goes so fast, and then still waiting for a good time to like continue it.
That's when roguelike games are my downfall. They're so easy to just put on and play for a while and then accidentally play for the rest of the afternoon. So, like, oh, should I like pick up a new game to play? Can't commit roguelikes. And then I'd never play anything new, and I've just to play Spelunky and Dead Souls for like half a year.
Yeah.
It does get a little uninspiring after a while. I like a little fresh story, new atmosphere every once in a while.
That's kind of the cool part with the retro games. Is you can literally play 5 minutes and you actually make some progress. Like when you start a new RPG game, for example, it takes 1 hour so that you have created your character and created accounts and updated, and like it's just when you have 1 hour, you just don't want to like spend it on all that. Rather, if you start Contra, after 1 hour, you're gonna be completely like dead, like really stressed out, and had a lot of time, a good time with the games. Because the action starts right away, and it takes maybe just 5 minutes to get through the first through one level. So it's really easy to just play some 50 minutes or whatever.
Skyrim's beginning is actually pretty horrible as far as games go. Thinking like you're just you have your character creation and all that, but then you're just like in a cart and you can't really see the world or interact with anything. So it's a very, very strange intro to a game, and it feels like it takes forever. at the same time. So
Yeah. Of course, it's for those who can invest the time there. They get a lot of like worth. It's gonna be worth it for sure. But yeah, I love just popping in Turtles 2 and like, play some a few levels. It's really cool.
I tried to play the Aladdin game on the Sega Genesis a few years ago, and man, those games are hard by today's standards. You know, there's a lot of complaints, especially in Japanese games, that they hold your hand too much. Just they didn't hold your hand at all back in the day, like
Yeah. No.
and there was no save, so it was always like you had to do this on the first try, like you had to beat the entire game in one go, not just you can't just stop and put it down and come back later. But if you have a power surge in your house and your paused game gets destroyed, hell no, have to play this through. And I just remember like my roommate at the time, just we were up so long and he was cheering, oh, come on, you'll have to go it this time. I can't watch you replay this again. Just win. And me just like, stop pressuring me. I can't stand another playthrough either. But truly just a horrifying game. When you go into the lamp with the genie, it's just weird. There's no floor beneath you. You can't even really see where you're supposed to go. Games are crazy and very hard.
Very hard. Sure.
Trying to think, like the game systems that were like popular here back in the day. Like I think Atari was in Finland, right?
Mhm.
But you guys more had the Commodore 64.
Yeah. 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 I think so.
I'm like, as a North American, I'm really unfamiliar with that. Like, I don't think I had even heard of the Commodore 64 before I moved to Finland. So,
Oh, okay.
I
How did that in Europe? No.
it might just,
So bad.
Yeah, you have the Atari there.
yeah. I thought they were maybe kind of similar systems, but didn't really ever know the difference between them. So,
We never had it, so I haven't played Commodore too much, but I love the music. I've been, well, we've both actually been going through some games, like listening to the soundtracks, and there's like so sick stuff. So we definitely need to do a whole like album just for C64 music for sure. Really cool.
okay, we got about 15 minutes before I got a whole ass out of here. Anything cool you want to talk about before we wrap this up?
Oh,
I try not to ask like too many like band questions generally because this will probably get released like in the next summer. Something like that by the time I get this online. So yeah, anything like cool you want to chat about before wrapping this up?
my brain isn't working too well. But
All right, what's like some games or music that will get you amped up just every single time, like no matter what, or will get you like emotional every time because it like reminds you of something, like the Roses of May from Final Fantasy IX gets me like right in the feels every time.
well, Golden Axe 3, that's one, and Messenger, the Beneath the Tides. At least that's how it's part of the in YouTube. Those can of course have some typos or errors or whatever. But yeah, those at the very least, like it's really easy to get super emotional listening to those. Like, and Shatterhand, it has several songs. There are a bunch, but those are maybe the winners on that side. I think Otto is a huge fan of Metal Gear, the jungle theme
one, I can never remember which Castlevania is it, 2 or 3, but there's this swamp theme that is like simultaneously the most catchy and annoying song of all time. That and it somehow it kind of like the like techno meat seller music. It also doesn't quite fit in with the rest of the music in that game. And I'm so sad because every time I try and look up this song, it's an effort to find it because it's not just called like swamp theme. It's something like, I don't know, underground marsh theme or something weird like that. But it's just really peppy and upbeat and also kind of murky. So it fits the swamp, but it also doesn't. And it's just a very bizarre song. And it will just get stuck in your head for like 3 or 4 weeks after.
Oh, yeah, I know. That's it.
And there's another one I think in Final Fantasy 6/3 that was like the Velt, where you meet the like wild child who just lives out in the savannah by himself or something, and he has this very funky thing that's always, as soon as I hear it, it's in my head for forever, and it's really simple and repetitive. So it's always one of those things. It's like, this is just gonna be playing on loop endlessly until I die, probably.
Well, so that's the kind of the best things in life when you find something that's cool. Yeah, that's what makes us nerds. I think so.
They're deep and abiding obsession with things that we love.
Yeah.
Incredible. Well, I think I've about used up all my time, and you guys have a show to play this afternoon. So
Yeah. Still plenty to work with. Like the video we still need to edit 3 more of these videos before we start playing.
okay, well, goodness. Well, thank you so much.
And thank you. It was really cool to see if people have some cool insights, like comments or anything to what their favorite games or anything, or any song ideas that we should play or something. Yeah, they're really cool. So that's always really cool to kind of connect with the people.
Yes. Well, one of the things I love about Finland, one of the reasons why I live here, why I never moved back, is because I feel like there's just a lot more nerds here. Being a nerd is more normal. I feel like less of a weirdo. A lot of like, people are into country, they're into like pop and stuff like that. Like my fantasy and my heavy metal and my nerdy stuff. And Finland seems like a good place. I can talk to lovely people like you guys. So
Yeah. Yes.
well, thank you so much.
Yeah. Thank you, and let's do it again.
Absolutely.